All right, all right, all right, all right. Thank you, everybody, for being here. This is the Need-to-Know Crosstalk show. My name is Aged Urine. I am your host, and today I have an amazing and very influential, young, inspiring guest. His name is Mr. Harry Matadeen. How are you?
I'm very good, bro. Very pleasure to be here with you, Zach. Share sacred space with you today.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, yes. It's amazing to have you here, and apologies for rescheduling, but without fail, you are here, and we're sharing this space. And the topic today is on anemas. But just before I talk about any more about anemas and go into that, just a little bio on Mr. Harry Matadeen and where he stands today. He is Practicing Holistic Health Activator, a very established, I would say. Personally, that's just my opinion. Urine therapist, and he's been in the health game for just a little spurt of 2 years. So, I mean, love what you are doing in Facebook and within the tribe, within the community of the activators of Philosopher's Stone group there, and a few others that I see you in. So, I know you're a very positive individual, and this topic should be quite interesting, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of wisdom that rolls off just naturally because you're bang on to the anemas at the moment as well. So, I mean, let's talk about anemas. I mean, first of all, I like asking this question straight, as it sounds quite simplistic, but, you know, what is an enema? What is an enema?
Wow. That's a good question, because for a lot of people that aren't in the health community, they'll be wondering, what is this strange little word, and what does it mean? Basically, it doesn't even have to be urine therapy. It's any substance that you put up your rear end, your backside, that is going to benefit the colon health, because the colon is one of the most dirtiest organs in the body, in my opinion, of everybody. This includes fruitarians and people who look after their health. So, quite possibly, mate, I think enemas is probably one of the most powerful health protocols. It's my bias at the moment. It's one of the most powerful things you could ever do for your health, to do these things, to put medicine up your little rear end, stick a little tube up there, or a little syringe. I know you've got a bigger one, but I've just got a little syringe, mate. It's very small. And you put that up, put the medicine up, whether that be urine or distilled water or limes, lemons, or coffee. People do coffee.
Yeah.
You stick that up there, and it just works wonders, and it heals up slowly the colon, you know, and that's pretty much what it is. And yeah, that's pretty much an enema, mate, at the end of the day.
We'll go into a little bit of the history of enemas as well, to be honest. But I mean, what an amazing find. I mean, like, it was, for me, a very, very new to me, and I am part of the enema gang. There is a gang. I have my little bag. And I'm actually...
How big is that, bro? It's quite big, isn't it? That's quite a lot. That can fit like 500. How much? 750 ml is it? 1 litre? It looks about 1 litre to me.
Okay, it goes over, yeah. 2. It's got 2 on there.
2 litres. That's a lot. That's a big one.
Right, there's no hell that. Trust me, I don't fill it up that far. But yeah, it's quite a big one. But yeah, we'll be talking a little bit more about the history. But I mean, what an amazing find enemas are. I mean, like I said, they're new to me, and yeah, you spoke about the colon being one of the dirtiest organs in our bodies. Naturally, if you think about it, it makes a lot of sense. Excretion, etc., etc. And but I mean, what a find! Like, who do you know? Just talking a little bit about the history. You bring off the top of your head that you know in history that started using enemas. How did that all come about? Do you know? Are you familiar with a little bit of that, or?
I'm not super proficient as much as you, but I know that the Egyptians, the ancient Egyptians, I've seen photographs and there's hieroglyphics they have of the walls of Egyptians putting these things up their bum, you know, putting their rear end, putting their feet up and just sticking it in. And well, they did it. And then you go, if you believe that Jesus did it as well, you look on the Essenes Gospel of Peace, which is the unwritten book of the Bible, book number 1, I think. Jesus recommended. I believe it's true. You don't have to believe that. That's fine. But I believe Jesus recommended it. So those are the 2 that I know, and those are pretty old, right? 2,000, 2,500 years, you said off camera, about that time.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a time cycle here, and just reading. I'll read a little bit off this site. This is off enemahistory.com.
Sure, mate.
It's inside, actually. It goes from the medievals, Victorian, 20th century, contemporary, etc., etc. But I mean, it shows enemas that were depicted in art for centuries, supposedly, and then nearly every ancient civilization throughout history has employed enemas to cleanse their bodies of toxins and waste. So it's nothing brand new. It goes really as far back as you shared. The Egyptians, who were first recorded civilization to use techniques of colon lavage, if that's the correct word, found in Paris. So that was like 1500 BC, and it goes. It's a long time ago. The Babylonian times. You're looking at Hippocrates and some other bloody names that I cannot say. Asclepiades used in for intestinal worms and fevers. And this guy Celsus, I think everyone should know him. Or one of his medical books, De Medicina, which was accredited in that. Yeah, it goes back quite far, and even down to the early times. Like 17th century became known as the age of the enema.
Really?
Yeah.
17th. Whereabouts is this? The age generally, the Western world, or does it say where?
Yeah, well, I'll read it out for you. It says the 17th. This is the 1600s. The 17th century became known as the age of the enema, or the age of Cleistus. It was an acceptable practice in Parisian society to enjoy as 3 or 4 enemas a day. The belief being that an internal washing of laymen was essential to well-being. It is recorded that King Louis XIII, is that right? Yeah, X11, yeah, had more than 200 enemas in 1 year.
Whoa.
Wow.
Bro, that's like 1 every 2 days. Over 1 every 2 days. Fucking hell, man.
And, yeah, so that's enemahistory.com if anyone's interested in that. That's because there's loads of information there. 19th century colon hydrotherapy was rejuvenated in the United States by Dr. Kellogg, a strong proponent of the enema in the treatment of many diseases. And it goes on. There's so much information there. So delving a little bit into the history there and just bringing it back into modern day society is something that, I mean, let me take that back. I've not been to hospital and used an enema, or I haven't had the need to be in a room where they've had to use an enema on me, but they are used as far as I'm aware. But as regards to hearing the knowledge about enemas and the fantastic health protocols, practices that they bring, I don't hear that very much. Is there a reason for that, or am I just maybe my ears just switched off at the moment? I don't know. Like, can you elaborate?
It depends if you believe in conspiracies or not, on pharmaceutical takeovers and allopathy, because I think ever since allopathy's been going on since the 1950s with the invention of all these drugs, and it's just been kicking off with radiotherapy, chemotherapy, surgery, all that shit. Ever since that takeover of the big drugs, the big pharmaceutical companies, I think the idea of the enema has just gone down the toilet. And on purpose, because the enema and these kind of protocols, especially cleaning out your colon, will stop the need for requirements for these drugs, because it heals you. Because like I said, the colon is the dirtiest organ in the body, mate. If your waste is backed up, you can't get any nutrients in. If you've got tons of mucoid plaque in the colon, there's no point almost. It's very pointless to try and be healthy when your colon, your waste is just getting backed up constantly. Yeah. You're hindering your progress. Yeah. So, I think that I think personally there's a conspiracy by pharmaceutical companies and the hospitals, because in Russia still apparently today they do enemas. They make people in Russia, when they go to hospital, the first thing they make them do is do enemas. That's one of the few countries that still does it. And in Western worlds, I'm sure we used to do this in the 1900s. You read some of the history already. We used to do it all the time. And it's not we've forgotten. It's deliberate policy not to teach children in school. It's deliberate policy not to keep people unhealthy, I believe. But
yeah, totally. All of that resonates with me. And I'm not one to try and go left or right with information, but definitely the whole point of this show, the Need to Know, is to hopefully try and find a level platform where everybody, whatever protocols or whatever diet or whatever lifestyle they're living, is try and find a neutral ground where we can all be accustomed to it and use it, utilize it, and hopefully pass it on. So yeah,
you said something interesting there. You said something interesting about neutral ground. I think enemas is a perfect topic for people, regardless of, there's division in the health community between what's good for you. Some people say fruit, some people say vegan, some people say meat eating.
Exactly.
Well, neutral ground is what we're talking about, actually, because it's hard to argue with doing enemas and cleaning up your colon, because colon is the waste garbage. Once you get that clean, that is the neutral territory we should all be focusing on. Yeah. We should all get the garbage, and the colon must be cleansed. And bro, if you want to go deep with this, even if you're fruitarian for 20 years, you're eating perfect food for 20 years, you are still going to be pulling mucoid plaques from your colon. 20 years you've been eating the right foods, people have still been pulling out stuff from the enemas. So that's the level of toxicity I'm talking about. So imagine these guys are almost perfect now for a long time. They're still pulling out shit. What do you think people like me and you have? We lived our entire lives eating garbage. Now, I've only come into this health community 2 years ago, eating much better, but not perfect still. So we have to do them. And it's not just a case of we have to do them. We have to do them a lot. Like, maybe not as much as Louis the 13th, like you said, 4 times a day. It's quite a lot, but as much as you can, wherever you're at. It's not just do an enema once a week, I think. It's like try and get it to daily. I mean, I've got a small amount. I do this 180 mils every day. Yeah. And I've been noticing that my colon is getting stronger and healthier. And it's only because I'm doing it daily that my colon is getting stronger. If you do it sporadically, you will receive benefits, but it's like asking someone, you can't get healthy by eating one apple once in your life. You have to eat an apple a day. You have to eat fruits all the time. You have to eat the perfect foods all the time. And same with the enemas. It's not about once a month. I do it once a week. Try and get to a point where you're doing it consistently, a little bit, cleaning that colon up. Yeah,
definitely. And what type of enemas have you played around with so far? Obviously, I know we know that you're into doing urine, and that's probably one of the biggest ones, but is there any others you touch base with?
Actually, no. So I'm open-minded to others, and this is what I believe. So I've heard coffee enemas are great, and I really believe they are. So anyone that like says they're not, I don't think that's true, because I listen to people anecdotal evidence, and a lot of my friends are telling me coffee enemas are great. So I believe that. I believe wheatgrass enemas are brilliant. I believe fruit enemas are brilliant. However, the fruit enema, I know this for a fact, is not as powerful as aged urine enemas. And another thing, I personally believe aged urine enemas are the best, most powerful medicine you can put up there. Aged urine, pH 11, 12, not pH 7 of a fruit. That's going to pull like the mucoid plaques. That's going to kill the parasites. It's going to give you the best chance of killing and purifying the colon in the quickest fashion with your aged urine, right?
I'm with you on that one. Yeah, definitely. So I've tried distilled water. I've done, which was cool. Still thought it was fine. I've done mugworts, actually. I've done mugwort enemas as well.
Is that a parasite cleanser one? Does that kill parasites, mugwort?
I believe so. You forgive me. I can't remember all the details, but yeah, it drew me towards the cleansing of the colon in a specific way, and it was about parasites. I'm pretty sure there was something about it. So I tried that one out as well, and that was quite interesting. You literally had to steep the mugworts in the distilled water, steep it. So you leave it in it in one of those type jug things that you just leave the lid loose on for 4 hours and use that water. So that was quite an interesting one. But funny enough, yeah, the one that you're going on about that I haven't tried either, is the coffee one. And I've been meaning to do it. I've actually got it on eBay or Amazon. There's raw coffee bits, because I want to roast my own coffee bits. I don't want to buy any. I want to make my own. Yeah. Oh. And I want to try it. Because it's I hear a lot of people talking about that, and I'm actually in one of the groups on Facebook, just sort of in the background watching, just seeing what's going on at the moment. So, well, yeah, definitely. I have to say, to be honest, I haven't got around a lot with in Enema or utilising Enemas as much, but I've definitely used urine most of the time, and to be honest, it's been quite pleasant. I have to be honest.
Yeah, you tried Aged Urine yet? You tried Aged Urine a couple of weeks, a couple of days on? Yeah,
I have. Okay. Yeah, I have. But I haven't been consistent. Consistent. I've had one spell in it. I don't know. Maybe you can share your thoughts on this actually, because I feel that there's a way to approach Enemas with Aged Urine. I probably wouldn't recommend it to someone straight away, only because they wouldn't be able to hold it up their backside because it's not powerful, and I experienced that. So, I mean, if we want to talk, that's the topic that you have done, urine Enemas. So maybe you want to sort of share on how your experiences on how you've approached Enemas at the beginning and where you are now with it.
Yeah, I've done them sporadically last year, very few times with the big water bottles, 2 litres. But now, since December, since the past 6-7 weeks, every single day, I've been doing little syringe with Aged Urine. Now, how I approach it, and you said is a good point, actually, Aged Urine is so powerful that you're going to have problems if your colon is unhealthy and you're new to this. You're going to have problems holding it in. However, that's not a problem. You're just going to have to accept the fact that at the beginning of your colon enema journey, you're going to start shitting, and you're not going to be able to hold it in. It's going to feel uncomfortable. I'm sure you're aware, Zeki, it feels really horrible when it goes in and you can't hold it in. You need to go to the toilet straight away. You can't hold it. It's too powerful. But that's okay. What I've noticed is that the first few days I was having that issue, but I kept consistency doing it with Aged Urine, roughly the same amount, of a week or two old, not very old. And I noticed my colon was getting stronger, and I could tell because my medicine wasn't hurting as much in my tummy, and I could hold it in my colon longer and longer. And to the point now where I can take much longer periods of the same age-old urine, much longer than the beginning. And I've only been doing it 7-8 weeks. So it's basically paying off. Enemas pay off with consistency. It's okay to do them sporadically, but the best way to strengthen your colon is to be as consistent as possible. In fact, I'll go as far as saying just do a little bit every day as opposed to 2 litres every few days. Rather people, I know it's benefits with doing a little bit, because Aged Urine is so powerful, you only need a little bit. You only need 60 mils to really pull like a motherfucker. It pulls and pulls that mucoid plaque, and oh man, it's just that's the thing with Aged Urine. Wherever we put it in, I don't want to go off topic, but you drink it, you put up the nose, you put up the bum, wherever it works, wherever you put it in, you only need a little bit for it to have such a powerful effect. Which is why I prefer it to distilled water, which I've done. I've done fresh urine. It doesn't seem to do the same thing. It's okay for beginners. But if you're beginning out, I'd say go for the Aged Urine, put a small amount in, don't fill your bag up, and then try and hold it. Don't get disheartened if you go to the toilet quickly, and then just be consistent. Do it as much as possible, and you will notice and get excited. You're going to get excited because you're going to notice, oh shit, I can hold my medicine in longer as your body cleans itself up. So for me, my motivation to do this every day is I'm getting excited because my colon is getting cleaner. I'm taking back my colon power. I'm really improving its health, and I can feel it viscerally. And the marker is how long can you hold your Aged Urine medicine in there? And it's very exciting to clean that up, and it's very fucking healthy, bro, as you know. So, yeah.
Amazing. And, every day is a good day to do it, but in my head it sounds quite just logical, actually, especially with when we were going to have more sun coming in. So if you're on a higher frequency in your colon's good place, it'll be quite interesting to see you in a few months' time to see how you'll be doing bloody hula hoops everywhere, isn't you? I can imagine. Techniques with Enemas. Without, you don't have to do any poses or anything, but how do you approach techniques? Have you tried a few ways around it, or?
I wrote this in the book. This is the best way, because since you're going to do the bother of putting something up your bum, you might as well do it the best way, the most powerful way. So what I do is I put my feet to the sink in the toilet, right? So obviously in the toilet, I put my feet up to the sink. I stick this up my bum, and then I invert my gut. So you don't have to do a yoga pose. You don't have to do a headstand or a shoulder stand. But what I recommend, and what I've noticed is the most beneficial, is to turn your gut upside down as soon as you put the medicine in and hold it for at least 30 seconds. 1 minute, 2 minute, perfect, 30 seconds. And what that does, obviously, is gravity. So then the medicine goes from the rectum to the descending colon. And you know what? I know for a fact it doesn't just sit in the rectum, the medicine. It goes into the descending colon. It goes into the transverse colon. It even goes around to the ascending colon, bro. It goes around everywhere when you invert your gut. This is a fact. You know, and do you know how I know? You can hear it. Because the aged urine is so powerful, you will hear it gurgling inside your tummy, right? So what I do is I listen to the gurgling sounds when I'm upside down with my gut, and I can hear it on the right-hand side of my gut where that's far from the rectum. That's the complete other end of my colon. So that's how I know that the small amounts of medicine are making its way all the way around the colon. It's a complete colon cleanse. It's a myth. It's a myth that it just stays in your rectum. It doesn't. You invert the gut, it goes all the way around, cleans up the whole colon, you know? So that's what I recommend, bro. Always try and get upside down your gut. Do a shoulder stand if you want. Put your feet up to the sink as a little trick. Literally put your feet up to the sink so you can hold your gut upside down. And then you just sit there for 30 seconds and until you need a toilet, and then just let it go.
Yeah, I'd add one for someone who maybe is carrying a little bit of weight or just has maybe back problems, is to probably lay almost have a 90-degree angle. So your feet are on the wall, this is your feet end, this is your legs. And then when you're ready is to lift off of the wall and then insert. So your back, probably not really looking, so there's your back and there's your legs on the wall. So you're lifting up. You're pushing against the wall with your feet, basically. Once you've inserted, that might work a little bit more easier for some people in time until they can master the pose like yours.
Yeah, no, you don't have to complicate this at all. At the end of the day, the medicine works whether you invert the gut, you do it on the wall or not. But these are just little extra hacks that we're talking about that make it just a little bit more tasty, a little bit more powerful, right?
Yeah. Do you want to go into a little bit about retention enema?
What do you mean? Retain, how to hold it in, or?
Yeah. Like, is there any practices you can do with that? Like, or is it talking about measurements? And I'm trying to sort of give a guideline as to how much we could possibly use. How to possibly hold it well, because I think I find that actually releasing your gut is quite interesting, like because obviously you're putting water into your colon. People might get a bit scared thinking that it might leak. But actually when you do it a little bit more and you release the gut, manage to retain the liquids as well, that's something quite interesting. How maybe that's the colon sort of strengthening itself out, I guess. I don't know, maybe you can elaborate a little bit more on that.
Yeah, bro, you're right. You want to keep it in there as long as possible. But the thing is, when you need the toilet, you must go. Yeah, I think it's stupid, personally, to try and force yourself when you're desperate to go to the toilet to try to hold it in. I think that, you know, the medicine has worked. It's done its job. As soon as you need the toilet, evacuate. But know this, bro, as well. Once you do the enema, after it's all gone down the toilet, a little bit stays in the colon. It stays in the colon for at least a day after you've done it. It stays in there. It working its magic. So just because you've been to the toilet and you think you flushed it all out, you're wrong. The medicine, any enema medicine, stays in the colon for a day after you've done it. A little bit, not a lot, but this is beneficial for us. You know, this is another reason why we got to do the enemas, because it's not just all getting pissed out straight away. It's staying in there. You know, and it's very powerful.
Yeah. Okay. And you shared that you've got some of this information in your book that you've just recently released as well. Have you got that to hand that people can see, possibly?
Oh yeah, sure, bro. Yeah. I have indeed. Aged Urine Rediscovery the Century. Yes, sir. On Amazon. Yeah. And it's one of the it's my top three. My drinking, nasal, and then the third. No, it's my second. Second most important to me is the enemas, the aged urine enemas, because, like I said to you earlier, the colon is, honest to God, the most filthiest organ that we've got possible, and the aged urine is the best medicine you can get into that area. And you know, bro, I want to say something real quickly. There's two dogmas whilst we're talking. I want to get out there. Dogma number one that I don't like. I really want to bust this myth. People that you've heard this as well, mate. People in the community sometimes say enemas weaken the colon. Have you heard this, mate?
Oh, I've heard
people saying. Right. Well, I didn't used to believe it, but I was also, in the back of my mind, I was thinking maybe this is true. But guess what? My experiences from doing this daily for 8 weeks now has proven to me that that is a complete myth and a lie, because my bowel movements are now 10 times better, more efficient. I'm not having, they say it's relying on other sources and it weakens your colon because you're using external. No, not to me. I'm shitting and pooing more outside of my enemas, more than I ever did. So this is dogma number 1. It does not weaken the colon. And there's another one that you might find interesting. People say they need to warm up the medicine, whatever it would be, the urine, the coffee. Now, it does help, but I've not been doing it because of inconvenience. I can't do it. I've got no kettle to, especially for my urine. So I've been putting it in cold. And I've been finding that that's almost the same as warming when I did warm it up. There's no issue to me with putting cold medicine into the colon. Maybe warm makes it a little bit easier, but what I'm telling you is you don't need to worry about it. You don't need to not do an enema just because you've got no kettle and you can't warm it up. Just put it in cold and it will still work its magic.
Yeah, that's funny actually, because I started off doing cold enemas, and that was I just went in blinded, didn't research before. Okay, give it a go, and I actually did them cold. I have to say, to be honest, my preference is to have them slightly warmed. I just slightly warmed. That's just a general preference, but I don't know enough information as to whether they make it stronger or less weaker or not. But
can I ask you a question? Like when you put it in warmer, do you feel it going? Because when I put it in cold, I know exactly where it's going. You see, when I put it in cold, I can feel it. I know where it is. Can you still feel it when it's warm? Where it's you can
definitely, absolutely, definitely, because it's warming you up. You can feel it, especially if you do the upside down job. You'll feel it. Yeah, and it can't be too hot. You can't have it too warm. Like hot's just a no-go, but you can't have it too warm. You can't hold it. Simple as. Anyone that
great balance. Body temperature, they say body temperature. So that's the best protocol, isn't it? To try and get it.
Yeah, totally. Okay, well, you said you. Is that out of choice at the moment? This is going slightly off topic of the enemas, but is that out that you're not using a kettle and stuff like that, or is there a reason?
No, not just because of my situation, living with my parents at the moment, and it's already like a practice that they're disapproving of, the whole UT generally. Right. So it just puts extra pressure on myself and extra, I don't really need to deal with that. So it's already like pretty weird for anyone in the mainstream outside of this talking about it and doing enemas in a toilet. So.
Oh gosh, wow. Okay, well, I had a couple more questions, and it's definitely going a little bit more into the technique side of things. Actually, just before that, because just remembering on the question that you said you've done it for 8 weeks. Is there a difference as to how long we should be doing enemas for? Do you recommend to do them every day without fail, absolutely, until we die, or do you reckon having intervals are quite important as well? Just out of curiosity, is it? I feel possibly maybe if we do have a little break, does that give the body the opportunity to just come back to being its normal self? And then when we introduce the amazing medicine, coffee, whatever it may be, it enhances it and takes it to another level again. What's your take on that?
That's a really interesting question, because I don't know the perfect answers to that yet. However, I will say this: the more of them you do, generally speaking, the better. This is a fact. Don't think that the less is better when it comes to these things. And I've done dry fasting, by the way, and dry fasting does not pull the mucoid plaque as efficiently, as quickly as does enemas, and that's a fact with aged urine. And I've done dry fasting for long periods of time too, and it does a lot of wonderful things, dry fasting. But those enemas, mate, my recommendation to people is there's never too much you can put in, and there's never too frequent in a day. So if you want to do it more than once a day, brilliant. 2, 3, 4 times a day, I've heard people doing. I don't have the discipline to do that, by the way. I'm not dedicated enough to do that 3 or 4 times a day, like constantly. But if you do, the more the better. As for breaks, if you want to put in some dry fasting with that, maybe in one day do a 18-hour dry fast, and then break your dry fast with 1 meal a day or something of food, and then do an enema, and then go back to your dry fasting. That's kind of what I do. So I'm dry fasting 90% of the time, and then eating my 1 meal a day, and then doing an enema, and then going back to the dry fasting. So yeah, there's truth to like periods of drought and dryness and dry fasting, and then flood your colon with liquid, and your body with liquid. You know, it's a balance between the two. But generally speaking, there's no point in someone's health. Well, I've heard people say this on Facebook. They said to me, they say things like, I did enemas 3 or 4 years ago and I don't need to do them again. I did them for a whole year. And they don't get it. Like I said to you at the beginning, a guy, 20 years of fruitarian, Professor Spira, check him out on he's a very famous guy. He's still pulling mucoid plaque from 20 years of fruits, eating the right foods, and just from all the shit he's been eating when he was a kid. So there's no
totally point. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Sorry, it totally makes sense. Yeah, it does. I mean, even if you are eating a fruit-based, plant-based diet, and you're eating live foods, eventually they are dying. Eventually, like they will be dead. Eventually, you know, they will be rotting. Eventually, so that little bit will obviously turn into some sort of mucoid plaque. And you know, there's a little saying, you know, to know that you are, like, this is what I say, to know you're alive, you have to have a little bit of everything, you know, in life. And so if we have a little bit of mucoid plaque, then it is what it is. But yeah, enemas seem to be an amazing way to keep that area. It's such an important area, and and it's not easy to clean. I've used other protocols to clean the colon. It was a company called Blessed Herbs. A lot of people probably heard of them. And the product, but it was a whole internal cleanse. So it really went to town on the gallbladder and the kidneys, etc., liver and whatnot. And there was a certain box set for the colon. And I mean, the whole internal cleanse and the colon must be like £200, you know?
Cool. Yeah.
Exactly. That's that's what my face. At the time, I was hungry. I was really hungry. It was really quite a vigorous protocol. It took nearly a month, to be honest. Like, it was 9 days on the colon, and then it was 21 days on the internal cleansing, and that was breakdown. It was a breakdown of eating a meal, and halving the meal the next day, then halving the meal the next day, and then going down to liquid, and then starting the protocols, and it was really good until I learned what products are in those things, and actually I could have got those products myself and made them up. That's the way I move these days. And then when I found enemas, I just thought, kind of just defeats the object. Like, there's so many wonderful things like enemas, and like you shared, dry fasting, and having the knowledge of appreciating your body and utilizing certain foods, regardless whether you're a meat eater or whatnot. Actually, again, like we shared, having that platform basis, that clear middle ground where everyone can take guidance from, and then utilize whatever else they choose to, you know, having a steady outline of what we should be eating, and including certain practices as well. I know you do. This is another one I wanted to add into this, actually, was yoga.
Which one?
Yoga.
Oh,
yoga.
Yeah.
So
sure.
I'm really intrigued to know how your yoga practices are taking influence on not just enemas as a whole, but the influence on the organs, because obviously